Welcome back to This Charming List. Again, I apologize for the choppy videos. I'm working on it, but I wanted to bring you this episode because I was really excited about it. So moving on. The project began during a period of what English journalist Rupert Cornwell described as paranoia at the CIA. And the project was headed by Sidney Gottlieb, but began on the order of the CIA director Alan Dulles on April 13, 1953. Its aim was to develop mind-controlling drugs for use against the Soviet bloc in response to alleged Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean use of mind control techniques on U.S. prisoners during the Korean War. The CIA wanted to use similar methods on their own captives and was interested in manipulating foreign leaders with such techniques, devising several schemes to drug Fidel Castro. It often conducted experiments without the subject's knowledge or consent. In some cases, academic researchers were funded through grants from CIA front organizations, but were unaware that the CIA was using their work for these purposes. CIA counterintelligence chief James Jesus Angleton believed that a mole had penetrated the organization at the highest levels. The agency poured millions of dollars into studies examining ways to influence and control the mind and to enhance its ability to extract information from resistant subjects during interrogation. Once Project mkultra got underway in April 1953, experiments included administering LSD to mental patients, prisoners, drug addicts, and sex workers, people who could not fight back, as one agency officer put it. In one case, they administered LSD to a mental patient in Kentucky for 174 days. They also administered LSD to CIA employees, military personnel, doctors, other government agents, and members of the general public to study their reactions. LSD and other drugs were often administered without the subject's knowledge or informed consent, a violation of the Nuremberg Code the U.S. had agreed to follow after World War II. The aim of this was to find drugs which would bring out deep confessions or wipe a subject's mind clean and program them as a robot agent. In Operation Midnight Climax, I shit you not, that was the name, the CIA set up several brothels within agency safe houses in San Francisco to obtain a selection of men who would be too embarrassed to talk about the events. The men were dosed with LSD, the brothels were equipped with one-way mirrors, and the sessions were filmed for later viewing and study. In other experiments, where people were given LSD without their knowledge, they were interrogated under bright lights with doctors in the background taking notes. They told subjects they would extend their trips if they refused to reveal their secrets. At the invitation of Stanford psychology graduate student Vic Lavelle, an acquaintance of Richard Alpert and Allen Ginsberg, Ken Kesey volunteered to take part in what turned out to be a CIA finance study under the aegis of mkultra at the Menlo Park Veterans Hospital, where he worked as a night aide. The project studied the effects of psychoactive drugs, particularly LSD, psilocybin, mescaline, cocaine, AMT, and DMT on people. So I agreed to take part in a study when I was in an undergraduate studies, and a graduate student took me into a room and asked me a bunch of questions. And I remember that one of the tasks that I was asked to do was to use a computer mouse with my foot. So yeah, a little bit different than Ken Kesey's experience. Don't you find our country's hypocrisy about drugs and then later the war on drugs to be completely next level insane? Yeah, I mean, here's Kesey, a night aide and a graduate student at a hospital trying to eke out a living and saying, sure, give me a few bucks and I'll volunteer for this study.